What you are about to hear is highly classified. In episode number 147 of Zone 4, it's the first episode of 2012, and we're talking TV in 2011 and 2012. The crew returns this week to talk about that one topic that we didn't cover last week, and we discuss shows that we liked in 2011, debuting shows and returning shows, and we look forward into 2012 and talk about some shows we liked then as well. Don't forget to check out the weekly webcomic on zone4podcast.com/webcomic, updating every Monday. Our Get Jiggy With It contest is still going on. All you have to do is finish the line, "I listen to Zone 4 because," and you can win the chance to be immortalized in an issue of Mr. Jigsaw, Man of 1,000 Parts. You can learn more at MrJigsaw.com. Email your entries to zone4@comicrelated.com or post a video to our YouTube channel. We give more shout-outs to our faithful Zone 4 Legionnaires. Like us on Facebook.com/Zone4Podcast, and eventually you'll get a shout-out on the show. This episode is sponsored by the Raymond Power Hour, our sister podcast by Bill Gladman and Frank Rayner. Goes live every other Monday. Check it out, RaymondPodcast.com. And now, listen to a clip from the show, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Okay, hey, my turn, okay, guys? And yep. I'm purposely, I've got a list here of shows that I've been watching and enjoying this season, but I'm purposely going to pick one for the three of us to get into, okay? Because we alluded to this earlier in last week's show, I believe, and that's, of course, the big over-the-top Fox science fiction epic Terra Nova, which I think had the possibilities. It's one of those shows that got a lot of hype. It's part of Steven Spielberg's production outfit. It got so much hype, so much publicity that it was one of those where you knew going in that it could probably collapse immediately because it wouldn't live up to whatever hype it had or whatever. And the basic plot of the story for people who aren't watching it, and hopefully we'll convince them to go back and do that, is the fact that it's the far future, and we've pretty much raped the earth and destroyed most of our natural resources, and the remnants of civilization are living in controlled dome cities where the air is barely breathable. And somehow or other, somebody's figured out time travel, but only one way, to the past, to the Jurassic period, right? And the time of Pangea, the one huge landmass. And the concept is people get into these lotteries or whatever, and they get picked, and they get sent back on a one-way trip. Now, the thing goes both ways, but as a colonist, you're supposed to be sent back. That's where you're going to live forever. And the concept being you'll eventually send enough people back that mankind will survive by living in the past, where the earth is still green, still vibrant, still healthy, and the idea being you won't make the same mistakes. Okay? Right. You will now, revere Mother Nature, and you will get it right. Well, that's the basic concept. And of course, the attraction to the mass public was, we're going to get dinosaurs. We're going to get people living, in the same period as T-Rexes and every kind of other, creepy, crawly, they have giant mosquitoes that can suck the blood out of you and all this good stuff. Again, saying what I'm saying here, the possibilities of this thing being so overblown, overwrought could have collapsed very easily. Mm-hmm. It did not. It ended up being one of my big surprises of the season, and a lot of that, I think, is, again, due to excellent writing. Once the characters were identified, and I have to admit, the first 2-hour premiere show seemed like it was going to be a very traditional kind of show that wasn't going to offer any surprises. Mm-hmm. But once you stuck with it and you got to episode 3 and 4 and you started learning more about the principal characters, then there was a revelation involved, that suddenly things weren't just the same as we've been led to believe. The writing was a lot more inventive than I thought it would be. I started to appreciate the characters a great deal, especially Stephen Lang in the role of the colonel, the military colonel, Taylor, who runs Terra Nova, the name of the colony where people live. And one of the things we learned early on in the show is that his most bitterest rival is his own son, who is in fact in league with businessmen from the future to create portals back and forth so that they can bring their earth-sucking machines and rape the past or the way they've done with the future. And that's the diametric philosophy, battle that's going on between these two forces. I'm going to let it go right there and let you guys jump in with your comments, and then we'll talk a little bit about that amazing 2-hour finale.
Gordon, you want to go?
Oh, sure. This is the other show where when the final episode ended, I loved it all the way through. I didn't like the pilot. I felt it was a little too cramped, but I loved the way that they kind of paced out the plotting over the course of the series. And at the end, this is the only other time where after the series finale, I was a little miffed that I wouldn't be getting any more episodes until next year. To me, it's that good.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the consensus here is that it was a slow build at first and then became kind of a sleeper hit. And being that it's on Fox, I'm thankful that they gave it an opportunity to find its feet.
That's true.
Yeah, we know Fox's history with shows of that ilk. So, thankfully they gave it a chance, and it so far has prospered quite well. It's a show for me that, like Gordon, I wasn't totally moved by the pilot, and I actually found myself missing it for a few weeks, and then I would catch it on Hulu. And, once it got into some of till the middle of the season, I was like, oh, well, this is starting to get really good. And then when we started getting towards the end of the season, it was like, oh my God, this is so good. And, obviously we're going to talk about that finale, which just kind of blew my mind.
Let me ask you this, because you just said something which set off a thought in my own mind, guys. And do you agree? Because we didn't see Taylor's son till the middle of the season.
Right.
And do you believe that it was his introduction that amped up the conflict and the interest in watching the show?
All right, so that was a clip from our almost 2-hour episode this week. If you liked what you heard, you can listen to the entire episode later today, zone4podcast.com, comic related, via our Facebook page. And don't forget to check out zone4podcast.com, our brand new website. You can find links to our RSS feed, our YouTube channel, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and everything on that site. And we update it with every episode each week, and our entire archive is on there. And we hope you check it out. And as always, thank you for listening.